Welcome to Magical Athlete, a game you can make entirely at home, a racing game that feels like a Spore World Championship, a game that feels like the board game you dreamt about last night, a game where the unbelievable daftness and creativity of your friends crescendo into you all howling at the grappler's seeming inability to actually use his grappling hook. Why do they call him the grappler when he don't use the grapple, about do have the grapple? No time for questions, I think I'm late to the race, and I'm playing myself.
Folks, if you're just joining us now, Long Horse has just pulled into first and third place. Gambling Greg has just rolled up 4 of all even numbers he rolls lose 2 value. Steamroller McGee has just rolled a 6, flattening the competition by moving them back 1 space when they're overtaken. Oh wait, except for All Gas Tony. He's not familiar with the concept of backwards. The 9-to-5er rolls a 1, so he gets to move 1 and add $1 to his retirement fund. I'm sure he'll get there someday. The Drunken Pirate rolls a 3, so he's drunk again. Yarr. He moves back 3 spaces. Long Horse rolls a 6, galloping into first. Gambling Greg's just gotta hit big here. A 5, that's a big win, rocketing them right into second. That's game, folks. But what's this? The side bettor had bet on a Long Horse. That's a free point to them. It's just like my Mimo used to say, always bet on the longest horse.
On your turn, you're going to roll a die and move that many spaces. First to the final spot wins, but these athletes get magical when at the start of each game, each player creates 4 contestants, 4 custom abilities that can break the game in any way you want. Maybe one race, one player is a wizard, allowing them to swap cards with other players, or one player is pants, which allows them to be worn by other players for a boost, or one player is the Horde, trying to infect all the other players with a zombie virus. Once all players have created their contestants, shuffle them up and deal 4 to each player, where they'll make a selection out of one of these to add to their lineup and pass the rest to their left. Do this 4 times until every player has 4 cards in their lineup.
Folks, it looks like Tim is still filming that video, even though the race ended ages ago. This is a never-before-seen strategy at play. Will it pay off?
Now, one of the 4 races begins. Each player simultaneously chooses one contestant out of their hand to be the contestant they'll be playing with this race, and makes their best approximation of that contestant on a small token to go on the board on the start space. And then you start going. Each player takes a turn rolling a dice and moving that many spaces. Except now you have a special power to worry about. Well, everyone does. Can the Snatcher beat out Average Andy? Can I beat a roguelike deck builder? Can Little Sally Hopscotch beat the Devil? All of these questions and more can be answered by Magical Athlete. So is there much game here? I think so, at least more than you think. There is an interesting decision to be made in which contestant to play when, as the reward for winning each race increases throughout the game. So you want to save your best contestant until last. But is that what everyone else is doing? And do I want to play the pencil now for its permanent board-altering abilities? Maybe I can change the board in a way that'll benefit me later. Or maybe I just get Drunken Pirate out of the way now. And you might even write abilities that allow you to make decisions mid-race. Should I release the beast now or next turn? What is the EV of being eaten by this snake? Am I locked in? But as I was writing this, I was reading through a lot of the cards that had been made and realized that most of them don't give you a decision to make, which is weird because this game is fun. And you don't actually do anything except make contestants at the start of the game. This game should not work as well as it does. It does not sound fun at all, at least on parchment.
I would say that Tim is making a good pace here, but I would be lying. It's been ages since the race ended, but maybe he can set a record on his upload schedule?
I've kind of realized this game is fun in the same way Conway's Game of Life is fun, or Super Auto Pets is fun. You get to create rules and watch those rules trip over each other, run headfirst into a wall, and create stories that are much more than the sum of their parts. It's hard to forget when a wizard turned a steamroller's driver into a Formula 1 fan who was a little too fond of car crashes, or when the merry-go-rounder caused everyone to take a turn as the locked-in fish. Or when the roguelike deck builder, who gets to add a word from someone else's card to a card in their deck every turn, had a deck that consisted of the cards plus 13, plus 1 long turns, and players get you. Or when the long horse wore the pants. That was good. I think these sort of accidental synergies are one of the main reasons I love this game so much. You all create cards independent of each other, but because there's only a few simple rules that the game abides by, it's often those abilities will collide with each other in interesting ways. Like a card that lets you try to predict dice outcomes, and a card that lets you manipulate those dice outcomes. Or a card where the character has to start at the end and move all the way to the start to win, and a steamroller that pushes people backwards when they move past them, thereby helping that player get further to their goal. Fuck!
Ooh, a textbook mistake from Tim Factorial. Looks like he's really cementing his already very cemented place in last place. But as you viewers at home know, anything can happen in Magical Athlete, I guess, even when the contestant is 3 hours behind.
At this point, in regards to making cards, you're either locked in like a once screaming child, silenced by a screen, or looking on in horror like someone frightened by the ramifications of the reality of that metaphor. Either way, I have some helpful tips for creating cards that are going to be actually fun. Number 1, don't really worry about it. It's not going to be as hard as you think. No individual card has to be genius. It's the combination of all the cards that are really going to make the game. That being said, number 2, don't just give out flat bonuses to any given character, +1s or +2s every roll, because it'll just cause them to rocket ahead and finish the race earlier. Let them get all caught up in the chaos instead. Give them an ability that affects players they're next to, or puts things on the board, or affects the player in first. That's much more interesting because it will directly interact with all the other things that are happening. And thirdly, I think some of the most fun and memorable characters that have been made are ones that are very thematically relevant. Steamroller McGee pushes people back when he moves past them. He's steamrolling them. Squid Kid wins by inking the entire board. Gambling Greg has big losses and even bigger wins. It's stuff like this that makes the board come alive, as you can see what's happening when it does. But you might not even need a character that's real, or an effect that's relevant to who he is. This is Tojo Bo, not a real guy, but the person playing as him kept saying shit like, Tojo Bo just rolled a 1 and is moving 1 space, and it was really good. All you might need is just a character to lean into. This game is not my design, to be clear. Well, mostly not mine. They're like 92% not mine. That's rounded down. This game was designed in 2003 by Takashi Yoshida, and it featured 22 characters, a board that looks like the aftermath of a muddy pig and some grass, and a drafting system with currency that, while interesting, may have been an unwarranted squeeze for the juice that followed. But it still had the same core principles. Draft some silly contestants, pick which ones to use in each race, and watch some crazy races play out. But today, in the Lord's Year 2025, Magical Athlete has had some new life breathed into it by CMYK, featuring some lovely art by Angela Kirkwood, and updated game design by Richard Garfield? What? Regardless, it seems he was careful to make sure that Magical Athlete retained its, well, magic. The gathering of these talents has made for a better game, and my version is based off the newer CMYK version. Neither version has you making custom contestants, though. That's the core conceit of this version. There's also a change in how the drafting system works, so that it's a little better for higher player counts and for the element of surprise. But there is one other thing this version does, and that's remember.
Folks, it appears he is still going, and I am going to leave, because I have, like, a life, you know? I've shit to do at home. I'm leaving. Have a good night, folks. God.
See, the first game you play of Magical Athlete will be as I instructed. Each player creates 4 contestants, which are put into a shared deck of cards that is then shuffled up, and the game can be played. And at the end of each race you play, all the contestants used in that race can be sent straight to hell, which is what I like to call the box I keep the game in. But to think hell doesn't have a vengeance is a fool's theology. At the start of each subsequent game of Magical Athlete, shuffle up that deck of cards in Hell and deal 4 to each player. They'll then choose one of those 4 contestants to re-enter the game once again and send the other 3 straight back to Hell. Then each player only creates 3 cards, with the 4th card they would usually make being taken up by the card they chose to re-enter from Hell. This catapults the game into the stratosphere for me. Player-told stories effortlessly weave themselves over multiple plays as somehow someone inevitably is forced to take the drunken pirate yet again. We are yet to play a game where he doesn't show up. I tell you, Hell has a vengeance. So, anyone still here is just like me. One mention of a custom-written card, and like a desert dog, I'm nose to plate in that card game juice. So let's stop wasting your time with this boring-ass video and get you playing ASAP. This is what you'll need. Pencils, at least 1 dice, preferably 1 per player, a track, a way to track points, and index cards. For the index cards, you can kind of just cut up some A4 paper instead, but the index cards are much easier to shuffle and much nicer to hold. The track is a printable PDF I made. It's pretty simplistic, you can honestly just draw your own. I also made some point counters, but again, you could just make your own. Stack your point counters with the lowest at the top and the highest at the bottom. If this isn't your first game, optionally have everyone draw 4 cards from previous games and pick one to add to the deck. Then have everyone create their own cards now, so that the deck totals 4 times the total player count exactly. Once the deck is shuffled, you can deal everyone 4 cards. They'll pick one from that selection to keep and pass the rest to the player on their left. They'll receive some from their right and pick, and so on until everyone has 4 cards in front of them. And now you can play. Everyone simultaneously picks a contestant from their hand, keeping in mind that as this is the first race of the game, it will award the least points. Then, go around the table reading your rules aloud. Each player creates a token representing their card. Bad drawing is encouraged here. Randomly determine a first player and start taking turns. Roll your dice, move that many spaces, you know the drill. Only play till 3rd place if you're playing with 6 or more players, otherwise ignore those tokens and play till 2nd. And if you're playing with 2 or 3 players, consider each player having twice the amount of contestants per race. It does mean you'll have to create twice the amount of contestants, but it is important to have a lot of stuff going on the board. And then repeat the race action 3 more times. The person with the most points wins. Choosing a card from a previous game actually serves a secret secondary purpose here, as players who are new to the game get a chance to look at some cards that have been made before and get inspired by them. But sometimes people are still noticeably a little nervous about creating their own cards, which makes sense. I would just encourage discussion around the table about what cards they're making and how they're going about making them fun. Generally, that discussion helps lighten the mood and reduce the pressure. But sometimes people still don't want to make cards. I mean, you could direct them to the comments of this video. I'm sure there's some insane card ideas down there, but it's fine if they just don't want to make them. You can get them to pick even more cards from older games or get other people to fill in the blanks. As long as the total deck equals 4 times the number of players worth of cards, everything will be fine. I want to be clear on that 4 times the number of players thing because it is important. If there's any more than that, then some of the cards won't be used in the game, and that'd suck if you spent a whole bunch of time making a card and then it just didn't show up. So make sure that there is exactly 4 times the number of players and it'll all be good. Of course, there's nothing stopping you from adding your own modifications. This game can tank a spanner in its works. No, it thrives off of spanners in its works, gobbling them down like a mutant mechanic. I've been experimenting with a weather deck, where players, in 4 groups, each create a weather card, which is shuffled into a weather deck, and at the start of each race, one of those cards is revealed, and its effect runs rampant on the board. One of them is a Sharknado, which has you dropping sharks from a height that gobble up whatever they land on. You can also experiment with alternate boards, maybe add fun stuff to the board, or divulging paths, or whatever you want, really. And if you're looking for a shorter game, you can always skip the part at the start where you create contestants and just use contestants from previous games. The world is your racetrack. I think I'll stop myself here, because I could go on forever. But if you do want something that goes on forever, I have an almost hour-long video of me going through my entire board game collection on my Patreon, so check that out if you'd like. Also, if you like this video, subscribe, like, all the usual stuff. Comment down below your most unhinged card idea, and maybe people can use them for their own games if they need inspiration. But Other than that, thanks so much for being here. I'll have another weird video out very soon. Something to do with board games or something. I'll figure it out. Bye-bye!
What? Who is this?
Hey, I finished the video. Where did I place in the race?
You woke me up, kid. How did you even get my number?
Sorry, you were asleep?
Yeah, we all went home. We have families and dogs and Tamagotchis and shit. We just declared you a DNF.
So why did I make this whole video then?
I don't know, kid. You tell me. Love of the game?
So I don't get into the qualifiers? What am I supposed to do now? What about my career? You've ruined...
Sorry, kid, I gotta go.
You can't leave me like... this. Shit. I guess I have to start a YouTube channel now.